Hello and good morning. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. We are looking at the week ahead and some data points that could spur volatility in the FX market. Our core movers next week will likely be Euro ahead of the ECB meeting, but also expect some good strong movements around dollar as there's CPI due and there's a lot of attention right now on inflation. I'm going to quickly show you a phenomenon that we tend to see quite a lot around the US CPI, or I should better say after the US CPI. So last few times we had them was the 10th of March, 10th of February, 12th of January, 10th of December, and the 10th of November. We're going to have a quick look to see that phenomenon, mostly observable on GBPUSD, where you tend to see some strong reversals and also some follow through in terms of trends trading after the event. So last time we had one was the 10th of March, and the 10th of March was around here. So you see that this day created some strong bearishness with some good follow through the following days. And I don't expect anything different. Not to say it's going to go down, but I expect some good turnaround, which we will be able to analyze once we get closer to the day. The one before was the 10th of February. Now, 10th of February, we had a bit of a chop, unfortunately. So we had a big spike up, but then market did not throw us a lot in terms of market movements. I think we saw a little bit more, we saw a bit more interesting movement on Euro, where it created a top for what seems to be so far holding for the last 2 months. So the reading was on the 10th of February there. We saw an indecisive candle, but then after a big, strong trend reversal. So sometimes you might not see it all getting delivered on GBPUSD, but in my opinion or in my experience, GBPUSD tend to see these flows much better. The reading before that was the 12th of January. We're going to just sample these to see what's what. So we saw this was a bit more bizarre. We saw some strong bullish reaction followed by a reversal the following day and a huge, which seems to be a 500 pip dump after that. And on some similar thing also on EURGBP. Again, let's pull up the date for the 12th of January. Yeah, so we saw strong bullish reaction, next day reversal and a huge dump lower. So certainly the CPI reading isn't without anything. Considering that next week we will have the ECB as well, and market is running quite bullish into that event, I really feel like there's loads of good trades coming up. I'm going to quickly show you the 1 or 2 other readings before that as well. So we had the 10th of December around here, some bullish reaction, but then chop. The same thing for EURGBP, but then month of December can always tend to be a little bit trickier to analyze. And then 10th of November, which was the reading before that, a huge dump on EURGBP, and you can see that, just magnificent. So it really feels like that CPI event isn't without anything. It's, in my opinion, it's always the biggest mover of the month for Forex market. Everybody's been taught that NFP is the biggest mover, but it hasn't been for many years now. Everybody's paying attention to the CPI read recently. That's when you see really flow start kicking into the market. Mind you, next week we're going to have a shortened weekend. So Friday will be holiday, and it will be a longer holiday as the following week. Monday is off as well, and Friday will be in observance of Good Friday, and Monday will be Easter Monday, I've been told. So those days will be off. Liquidity will be really low. Most of your trades will probably work around Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. However, that doesn't mean we won't have a trade on Monday. And in my opinion, I'm paying a lot of attention right now to Euro. And we have also the French election coming up. So it will be first round this week, and there will be another round to close it all off. But really looks constructive for the Euro, even though you don't see it on the charts. There seems to be quite the bullish traction building up for Euro. I'm not really inclined to buy EURGBP just yet. And since we're here, let's have a quick look at the yield spread between these two countries. The problem right now is obviously selling dollar against euro, or selling or buying EURGBP. The headwind here is obviously euro, the Ukraine, and I should say conflict, and also the typing is the wrong way around, and also what the Fed is doing right now. They're really aggressively hiking cycle right now, and that is not really positive for that pair. So you can appreciate why it's been dropping quite a lot recently. Apologize. Right, back in the game. So you can appreciate why that market has been a little bit more aggressively bearish. So here we're not seeing any bullish signs for a recovery in EURGBP yet, and we're dangerously close to giving up these lows. I don't want to speculate on that pair just now because there's lots of positive things that can happen. However, possibly not against EURUSD, but probably more against EURGBP. Against EURGBP, even our yield spreads are pointing to a much more positive picture. So if I were to compare these two against the yield spread, German and the UK, or the Bund and the yield spread, you can see it's sitting higher, and I would expect EURGBP to catch up to at least 84.50 level as well. So there would be probably another handle from here, which is seems to be the much more logical way of movement. There's another thing that's really quite bullish for Euro right now, and that is the build-up of bullish bets heading into the ECB meeting, as market is expecting a lift-off from the ECB earliest September, possibly even July. So you can see some bullish bets starting to creep into Euro. There would be some that would be following very closely. But in terms of market movers next week, you want to be starting your trend trading activity going into Wednesday, beyond the CPI. On Wednesday, we're going to have CPI data for the pound, and I really feel like there's some big juicy moves to come there for cable as well. So last week we saw this option barrier getting taken out, but beyond that, our focus will be what the inflation picture looks like, and I feel there could be some strong movements for the pound. I don't want to speculate on the direction yet. It will become much clearer once we move out of Tuesday into Wednesday, and once we have some levels established, then I will communicate them down the line there as well. Another two currencies you want to keep an eye on, one of them is NZD and the other one is CAD. So both of them are right now in a place where they have some strong momentum behind them. Market here is a bit punishing Canadian bulls as it wants to move back into the middle of that range, as it threw off that that bullish reversal as it looks. And ahead of the Bank of Canada meeting, market is expecting some sort of a bullishness again, but I don't see them buying just yet. So I'll be very interested to see if this reversal on Friday has follow through, or if this whole bullish move will resolve higher. It is not one of those moments where you want to front run. You really want to wait for the data to come in and then pull the trigger. Mind you, next week will be a bit shortened, so your trading activities, you're going to see a lot of profit takers. So a lot of the moves will get quickly absorbed. Specifically as we move into Wednesday and Thursday, where market just wants to, wrap things up ahead of the long weekend, which takes me to also have a look at NZD/USD later on in the week, but also talk about VIX since we're here and the S&P 500. There's I wouldn't call it a phenomenon, but there's a market movement which we tend to see always ahead of the Easter holidays, where you see a very gentle grind up in the S&P 500. If you can see that here, we're caught in a 2-day inside bar right now in S&P 500. And going by history, I would expect the VIX starts breaking the 20 level again, and S&P 500 ever so slowly as we move towards Wednesday and Thursday grinds higher. So you might see these little dives lower, but eventually, in my opinion, and again, based on experience what we had in previous years, you should see it resolve higher. So to wrap this video, what we're looking for is we're looking for some bullishness on EURGBP, and on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to have some big moves coming for the pound. The direction is still pending as it becomes much more clear once we are nearer at the time of trading at those levels. But these are the two currencies where have some good volatility pockets. However, there's some good movements on the CAD, there's some good movements on NZD. However, the direction is not very clear on those. Lastly, before I leave you, I'm going to have a quick look at inflation expectations. And inflation expectations are right now looking likely to have some sort of a peak. So it has not went higher since late March. Started to dive in a little bit. That's why you see some of your commodity currencies underperforming, because they're really following the inflation expectations. So keep an eye on that chart, and also keep an eye on the yields. If this starts climbing back up, you can expect your commodity currencies to climb with it. And in other case, if it starts teetering out, that's when you can expect AUD, NZD, and CAD to suffer as well. That's all I wanted to cover this week. Again, it's probably a shortened week next week. just play the volatility pockets. You tend to be fine. And I will be back again for the following. Thank you very much.